Right guys, welcome back to the channel. Cheers from me and the king. Right. And again, something I mentioned on my last vlog, one of the pleasures that I find about dieting down is that I actually get to enjoy coffee and fizzy drinks and stuff like that because I'm not always bloated. The idea of having a coffee and then trying to fit in 7,000 calories when I was in off season is like, ugh. So it's nice for me. So anyway, I'm now at day 23. Day 23, so 3 weeks, 2 days. And I have dropped down to 126 kilograms dead on. So that is exactly 10 kilograms dropped in 23 days. So it's fairly extreme. But the weird thing is, like, that's normal for me. So as much as it's like extreme, it's also not. And there's a few things to consider. So number one, my genetics, like I drop fast. So it's not a surprise. Number two, when you weigh 136 kilos, 10 kilograms is obviously less in terms of a percentage of that weight. So if you weighed 90 kilos and you lost 10 kilos, you know, it's kind of a big deal. But where I weigh so much, I could afford to lose some if I mean, you know. Another factor as well is just pure, it's digestion. Like I was eating so much and it's just literally food in your stomach. First 5 kilos that I lost weren't even real. It wasn't even real. It was just like water and food in my stomach. I would honestly say the next 5 kilos has been more significant. The first 5 kilos is just that initial, like, yeah, I'm in the phase where, you know, you're not big, you're not lean. It is what it is. So yeah, I wouldn't say I look, you know, I probably look worse than I did before. People are asking me if I'm doing a show as well. I'm not going to be doing a show until the latter part of the year. You know, dieting down for me isn't a hardship. It's not like doing 2 preps. Like some people might see that as a really hard thing, like, because that's kind of what I'm on right now. I'm basically doing what I would be doing on a prep. But it doesn't feel like a hardship. For me, this is way easier, way less stress on the body. So diet down, push up, diet down again. So this is the fun bit for me, to be honest with you. So the first thing I want to talk about, I posted up a video of some lat pull downs on my story on my Instagram the other day. And I was using a little bit of like body English to move the weight. Stretching up, pulling back down, stretching up, and like my body's sort of like rocking. Like, so imagine this is like obviously upright. My body was here. I was stretching up, then pulling down to about here. Stretching up, pulling down to about here. I had one of my clients, Paul Shaw. So hopefully Paul, you'll watch this. So Paul came up to me in the gym and he said something really valid, to be honest with you. And he asked me, he wasn't even being funny, he wasn't taking the piss, well maybe he was taking the piss, but he just said, you know, there was quite a lot of movement on your lat pull down, you know, like, would you not prefer to be a bit more straight and sturdy and sort of upright? And the answer is yes and no, okay? And here's why. There's a few things to think about as to why you wouldn't or would do that. If you want to be completely strict, you're probably restricting movement in the first place. When it comes to back training, lat training specifically, you know, allowing your shoulder not to be so rigid. If you want to sort of like place yourself in position and just sort of pull like this, okay, that's fine. But I think you're really missing out on the full stretch and the contraction. Like allowing your body to sort of move within this range isn't going to be a problem. So that's number one. But number two, using some body English, some like momentum to force the weight. Now, you could argue you could go lighter and get the same stimulus through the lats. You could definitely argue that, and I don't think that I would even have a problem with that. But I think what my thing is, I like to lift heavy. Now, if I can lift heavier and enjoy it more, I'm going to put more effort into my session in general, and I'm going to be happier in general. And I think this is something that people really don't, when people are thinking about what's the best form to do, and when people are thinking about what should they be doing, they often overlook enjoyment. There could be a better split. There could be more rest. There could be specific types of movements, and even the movement itself, like specific ways of doing it. There could be better ways in general. But are they the most enjoyable ways? Now, my point would be, find a way that you actually enjoy doing and something that gives me like crazy motivation. When I'm going into the gym now, I've got like a big lift coming up. Like I've got things in my head that I want to do. That's what drives me. And I had a conversation the other day about motivation. Like, how do you always feel motivated? And I don't always, but for sure there is something that always helps that. It's lifting heavy. So the argument would be you can keep it more within the muscle. There is less chance of injuring yourself, and you're gonna fatigue the target muscle really, really well without having to use as much load. And not just that, but the stress that you place on your body. You know, if you're using, like if you're, you know, deadlifting 250, 300 kilos for multiple reps, there's gonna be stress and fatigue that you accrue within that. Whereas if you were to slow things down and maybe use, 180 to 220, somewhere in that region instead, or even less, like whatever, slow things down, really think about the contraction and what's actually moving the weight rather than just thinking about getting from A to B. You could potentially accrue less fatigue, maybe work the muscle just as well. But are you going to enjoy it as much? It's hard to quantify, but enjoyment. The thing that you enjoy, you're going to attack with more vigor, with more effort, with more intensity. So to conclude, what am I saying? No, don't lift with shit form. No, it doesn't give you an excuse to swing it all over the place. You still need to be on the target muscle, but using a bit of body English, it's kind of a trade-off. A little bit of body English to allow for more weight and more enjoyment, rather than super strict, super perfect textbook, but not enjoying it as much. Now, you could be someone who enjoys that side. I'm just not one of them. So for me, it's got to be a bit of this. So anyway. Okay, so talking about plans for competing this year. Now, if you remember from my last vlog, I said that there's going to be a mini cut now, then I'm going to push back up again, and then I'm going to go into a prep for around about October this year. Now, there's so many different options for me to take. This seems like the best one. Basically, I am 36 years old, and for me to be in my prime, one would argue that I'm going to need to be under 40. So basically, it takes me to my next point. How many more years left have I got doing this? So if I'm constantly just putting things off, am I really, am I wasting time? But then the argument could be, well, you need to grow. So you staying in this phase is actually really, really beneficial. So I guess these are the thoughts that go on in my head. So my other option is to maybe compete in May, which is like 6-7 weeks away from now. And the pros and cons are, if I just turn up to a show where I'm not fully ready, yes, I might get lucky and maybe come away with a win, but I know that if I turn up not at my best and I get beaten, it's going to really affect my confidence for the later part of the year. So it's probably not a wise move. But that being said, people watching this may or may not know how Two Bros works. So Two Bros is the route to the IFBB. In order for you to become a pro, you need to do a regional first, and then after you've done the regional, you can do a pro qualifier. So once you've done a regional, you can then choose whichever one you want. So me doing a show in May could be a tick box, where I just basically get the regional out of the way, then I can choose a pro show at any point that I want to, because I've already done the regional. I don't know if I can justify turning up knowing that I'm not going to be 100%, because I know for me to be in the best shape, I'm going to need probably somewhere in the region of 10 to 12 weeks for a prep. And the first show will give me like 8 to 9 weeks. So I know I'm going to slightly lack that finishing polish. I could do it, but I don't know if I can, if it's a good move for me in terms of my confidence for the latter part of the year. So something for me to at least think about. And also I've been running only testosterone at 300 milligrams a week for the last 5 weeks. So again, if I was going to jump into a show in May, I would need to jump on proper cycle and start ramping things up in terms of that. Because at the moment, all I've done is reduce my food. My testosterone is down at 300 milligrams a week, and I've reduced down my food, and I'm now 10 kilograms lighter. But if I want to go for a show in May, I'm going to have to push on up with the anabolics as well. Again, which is more stress in the body, which I don't know if I necessarily want to do. So again, I guess what I'm doing is I'm just sort of telling you my thoughts and where I'm at. And I'm a little bit indecisive with this kind of stuff. But then I'm going to finish up with this. Now, I don't even know if I definitely want to become a pro. Now, it might sound weird to some people because they're thinking that's the gold standard for what it is to be a bodybuilder. But the reality is that no one really likes to talk about. To become a pro, it's really, really fucking hard, and it's really, really rare. Yes, they get given out more often now, but there's also more bodybuilders now. The percentage of people who compete compared to the percentage of people who actually get a pro card it's not fucking likely that you're going to get one. Now, do I back myself? Yeah, I think I'm good. But also, I realise that I'm very, very fucking tall. So if I turn to a show at the super heavies, which is the category I'm in, I'm 6'3", and I'm probably going to be maybe 260 on stage. There are guys that are 230, 240, 250, but they're under 6 foot. They look way more dense than me. And it's just hard for me to sort of equal that look. Now, this isn't me being negative on myself. This is just me being realistic. Now, do I want to be chasing something that's maybe not even there? For what? Let's just say I have the best fucking season ever and I do become a pro. Let's just hypothetically say that. When I become a pro, what am I going to do as a pro? The reality is I'm going to be a very low-level pro, and then I'm going to be 37 years old. What am I going to do? A part of me that thinks if I became a pro, it would kind of signal the end. Now, I don't know if that's a wise move, because I want to do this to enjoy myself. All of this started because I wanted to enjoy myself. Then all of a sudden, somewhere along the way, just become
very serious about just getting a pro card and that's it. So I think to myself, is that definitely what I want to do? Again, haven't come up with a decision one way or another, but all I know is I want to have fun. That might just be doing shows that I want to do just because I enjoy doing shows. I enjoy the lifestyle, I enjoy dieting, I enjoy the training, and show day, getting to show off what you've done, I find really exhilarating. So, yeah, that's where my head's at. So, I don't know. I'm not any closer to knowing what I'm going to do.
Right, so we're at week 4 now. I started on the 5th of March. We are now, no, the 4th of March. We are now the 1st of April. So 28 days ago, 4 weeks exactly. And what am I down? So I was 136 when I began my diet. This morning I was 124. So that is now 12 kilograms dropped in 4 weeks. I've just gone back on cycle now. So I'll be running 600 milligrams of testosterone, 600 milligrams of masteron, and 300 milligrams of NPP. In the mornings, I'm going to be taking 3 IU of growth hormone, and then before I go to bed, 3 IUs again. Insulin is gone. So yeah, just going to see how this plays out. See, I know my physique fairly well now. Obviously, haven't done it so long. When I get to around about 120 to 122, somewhere in that region is when I start to actually look half decent. Before then, I'm in that phase again that I sort of always go on about, like, but it's that phase. I've lost weight, but I'm not lean yet. So it's like, so yeah, that's that. One of the other things I wanted to talk about was like the pleasure for me personally of prep and like eating next food. So we are now currently 11:22. I still haven't eaten my first meal yet, but there's no rush. I've just been cracking on with check-ins. Obviously it's a Monday. Well, it's the Monday after Easter actually, so it's. Anyway, yeah, so it's just been checking. So I've just been working as normal on a Monday, and and actually I've not even thought about food. I've just done a coffee and a glass of water, and yeah, so it's just really, it's nice. It's so much more relaxed. You know, in off season when I'm pushing food, there is no way that I can get away with this. If I were to do this in off season, that means I'm up until probably 2 in the morning. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. And the reason why, you know, people can eat food. Eating big food is one thing, but eating big food for a long period of time, when your appetite starts to dip, and yeah, basically it would be terrible for me to not eat a meal till like 11:30. It would be terrible. You have to start nice and early, otherwise it's just a long day. So yeah, I'm not even eating anything yet, and I feel fucking really good for it. I feel fresh. I feel like good mental clarity when I do this. So that's really, really good. Yeah, so I'll show a physique update. My next check-in is in 4 days. So I'll see what I am then. Next time you'll see me will be in my panties, you lucky lot. And we'll see what it looks like. Still going to be a bit shit, but slightly better. So that's where I'm at now at 4 weeks in. Just out getting some steps with this young man here. I feel so much better. Like, for me, like, just holding less body weight is just it's an absolute pleasure, to be honest with you. As I say, I've mentioned it before, but like, not only is prep not difficult for me, it's literally my preference. So it's like, it's actually pleasurable. It's yeah, it's amazing. So I just feel a lot more positive in general. Yeah, there's no hunger. In fact, last night I was like struggling to get on my food. Struggling's the wrong word. I just was not hungry, and I would happily have gone to bed probably 2 meals shy of my full day. Yeah, so no hunger, just enjoying it. Yeah, so I'm losing almost a pound a day on average, which is pretty crazy. But bear in mind, you know, the weight I was holding wasn't, you know, it was way more than what my body wanted to be holding. So initially I lose 5-10 pounds just from water and digestion straight away. So yeah, really, really good spot. I feel very, very upbeat and very, very positive. Yeah,
So I'm going to keep my options open. At the moment, this is just a mini cut. There's no plans to compete or anything. Obviously, you know, the plan remains just mini cut until I feel I'm ready to do go back into a growth phase and then prep for the late part of the year. And that's it. Today is Friday the 5th, and every Friday I do my video weekly check-in, and it turns out from last week I've lost another it was 3 kilos dead on. 3 kilos dead on. So 3 kilos last week, 3 kilos this week. So that's 6 kilos I've lost in 2 weeks. Now this isn't intentional. I'm not purposely going like full throttle. I'm still eating 4,000 calories a day. I've only just implemented cardio like in the last 2 days. So it's not like I'm even really like out of first gear and it's just fallen off me. So today we've gone in with a high day, and as always instructed by Amy. So these high days are a bit of a funny one for me because psychologically it just, I don't know, I struggle a little bit with it. And it's because I always feel like I want to push more. And it's the exact advice I give my clients. Well, the opposite advice I give my clients. Sometimes you need to know when to not push. Basically gone in with kind of double of everything. Having 600 grams of potato at the moment, which is cooking. My normal beef and vegetables, which you may or may not be able to see. 100 grams of cream of rice on top of my normal meals. 200 grams of cereal after my arm workout today. So yeah, just bits and bobs. Everything's just been like more. And as I say, psychologically, these days are harder for me for sure. I absolutely love to dig in and push harder. So yeah, anyway, this is a refeed day that's going in today. Tomorrow onwards is going to be a new shift in the diet. So I imagine that means calories are going to be slashed. I don't know what to. I'm sort of leaving it in Amy's capable hands. As I say, like, I think my problem is I will just push myself to the point where it's a real negative. And, oh, my dog. And whilst that is a good idea to a degree, it's also not, because ultimately I am a super heavyweight. And what that means is if you're 100 kilograms and above, you're classed as a super heavy. Heavyweight is 90 kilograms to 100, and a super heavy is 100 plus, or 102 plus, funny enough. Right now I'm weighing 123 kilos. So, you know, it's about preserving what you have got as well. It's not just, you know, a million miles an hour. At the end of the day, this is bodybuilding. This isn't just how little food can you eat and how, you know, how much body weight can you lose. I still need to make sure I'm preserving as much muscle as I can. Yeah, the high day's in. I will also put in my check-in video, but unfortunately I didn't do it in landscape. So perspective is going to be a little bit off, but link to that now and you can have a little look. It was the morning after the high day, and the high day ended up being 1,000 grams of carbohydrates and 5,500 calories. And off the back of that, I weighed myself this morning and I was up 1.2 kilograms. So I know that I'm not hugely lean yet, because normally when I'm lean, I have an influx of food and I drop weight. So the fact that that's happening still means I'm not quite there yet, which I know anyway, obviously, as you can see from the video. The video was from before the food. 123 kilos, I'm now 124.2. As of today, I'm going to start pushing more. So cardio is now going to be implemented at 30 minutes a day. And then also the food has been taken down to 3,100 calories. So it was 4,000, now it's down to 3,100. So it's quite a big drop. We're purposely going faster. So I'm expecting to probably lose another 3 or 4 kilos this week, probably. This is the part where I actually enjoy. I love it. I love like seeing the daily progressions and stuff like that. So this is, for me, is great. So gonna finish my coffee and then go do some cardio, and that'll be a wrap. So this is officially my first cardio session for this prep. I've done 15 minutes twice. That's all. This is my first half an hour session. I'm almost there now. And I've got to be honest with you, it feels really good to actually be pushing a bit more. Up until this point, there's been no real pushing, and it makes me feel like I'm actually doing something more on prep. I love this feeling. Today, I'm on my way to train back with Dale Stoney and my client Rob Smith. And I was just thinking to myself, it's great to have like-minded people doing this journey, because I think bodybuilding can seem quite solitary sometimes. And it can feel like people don't really understand. But when you're interacting with like-minded people, it makes the whole process way more enjoyable, but more relatable as well. And I think that's another reason why I really do find this so satisfying and so enjoyable as well, because there are just so many people on this same type of journey, and it feels great. And ideally you feed off everyone's energy, so that's that. Anyway, that is officially my first cardio done. Half an hour with a heart rate of 130 beats per minute held throughout. Cheers.